Scott used to beg me to wear this suit. So did Doran and Beast. But I couldn't have him thinking I wanted to be there. And it was too late.
It's only 9 people, but my entire world is right here in this picture. And I have no idea how to save it alone, but you know how to save them.
Whoever you think I am, you got the wrong guy.
You were always the wrong guy. Till you weren't.
Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman finally get their chance to team up under the MCU banner, giving the fans what they've been waiting for since the introduction of these beloved comic book characters on the big screen. Bryan.
Yeah.
The MCU and Deadpool finally meet.
Finally get together, man.
The deals have been struck. The companies have been purchased and enveloped. Does this movie actually feel like an MCU movie?
It's interesting because I know we had talked about this prior to the movie coming out because I had a chance to see this before you got a chance to see it.
I really wish I had been there with you.
I know. And you had asked me that, and while I was watching this movie, I was looking for some of those touchstones that we've seen in other MCU movies. And honestly, even though it comes up with the Marvel Studios banner at the beginning in a very fun way, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like and I'm not saying that disparagingly. As a bad thing, but looking for some of those MCU isms or whatever it may be, I didn't feel that it was an MCU movie.
I mean, obviously they use some MCU plot mechanics. The TVA feature heavily. You see them in the trailers.
Yeah.
But I think this film is ultimately just a celebration of everything that happened under the 20th Century Fox banner, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool.
It is.
And when we get to the end credits, not to jump immediately to the end credits, but when we get to the end credits and we get this montage of every Marvel movie at 20th Century Fox, and I mean everyone. Fantastic Four, Josh Trank is present.
I know. We get all of it.
That was kind of nice, and I found it a little emotional.
Same. I mean, when you put that Green Day song there, I mean, you're going to get emotional, even though, and I'm like, sometimes I look back in that era, I'm like, were these really good movies?
No, I just said Josh Trank's Fantastic Four, and yet here I am, a little tear
I know, right?
rolling down the cheek.
Nostalgia, man, it's a hell of a drug.
It's a hell of a drug.
But yeah, man, but seeing Ryan Reynolds, and we know how much of a friendship Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have. And I know that the fans throughout the years have always wanted to see these two characters played by these two actors team up. And when Logan came out, we thought that this was the end, we're never going to get that moment, and this comes together. And I think seeing them together, they really do kind of give the fans what they want.
I mean, it's a fun movie.
It is
they are
a fun
great
movie.
together.
They are.
And if you had traveled 20 years ago and shown me a couple of the fight scenes from this film between Deadpool and Wolverine, I would have been a puddle.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's mind-melting stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it also feels a little bit more of the same in 2024.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it as well. I mean, when you think about where we are now with comic book movies and how much we've seen, with characters coming, like intertwining and meeting each other. I mean, we've gotten Infinity War and Endgame and all the Avenger movies. So it's not anything new or exciting to see, but there are some exciting moments in this.
The problem for me is that you got to see it before me.
Yeah.
Right? And the moment this movie premiered, it was spoiled. Disney was publishing tweets that showed you half the cameos of this film. And by the time I did get to see it, which was unfortunately weeks later, I made some terrible life choices. All the cameos had been spoiled. And I think if some of those cameos had been surprises for me, I would have had a great time.
Had a better time enjoying that. Yeah, and I agree, because not knowing some of the cameos that we get, when you see them pop up, experiencing that in a theater, I think it definitely would have raised the experience of seeing that.
The movie's been out for several weeks now.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about who's in
I
it?
mean,
'Cause I feel like
think
the entire world
we
already
can give
knows.
a spoiler alert. I mean, I think it seems like the movie's made over $1 billion at the time we're recording this, so everyone's seen it.
If you haven't seen it yet, go see it. If you haven't been spoiled, I don't know what rock you are living under, and I want to find it and live with you.
There you go.
But Gambit.
Yes.
Channing Tatum is Gambit
Yeah.
in this movie, and he is delivering the best Cajun accent you could possibly want from Gambit.
Yeah. And I mean, Channing Tatum has always been, since 21 Jump Street, I've loved everything he's done comedically, and he is just firing on all cylinders, you know, playing into the accent and playing into all the meta-ness of him not getting his own movie, seeing Elektra come in, all of these cameos, and then the one that I wasn't expecting, I don't think anyone was expecting, and to see him come back after all these years, of course, the conversation around his relationship with Ryan Reynolds coming off of Blade Trinity. Yes, I said Blade. Wesley Snipes is in this movie.
That is the cameo that I am so mad got ruined for me the most. Like, that makes me the most mad, because if I had been in that theater next to you on opening night and Elektra pops up, like the way that they stage that, where suddenly Elektra's here. Oh my gosh, Elektra.
Yeah.
She's alive, Jennifer Garner. This is so interesting. Wow, what a crazy cameo to be in this movie.
Yeah.
And then 5 seconds later, Blade walks around the corner.
Yeah.
I would have been on my feet screaming if I didn't know it was coming. As is, it's still pretty cool.
It is cool. Of course, there's things like the overall plot. I mean,
gibberish, Bryan.
It is. But I do like Wade's motivation, and I think some of the pathos that he brings to that character really does work for me, especially getting towards the end.
It doesn't work for me. I like the direction. I like the idea behind the motivation, and even Wolverine's motivation.
Yeah.
Even if it's, again, like a bit of a retread of his motivation from Logan.
Yeah.
But that's like the missing MCU-ness. Because I feel like when the MCU is firing on all cylinders, it really delivers on the emotional stakes.
Yeah.
And I feel like this film had the window dressing of the emotional stakes, but just didn't actually have anything there.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I can see that. What's your rating for this?
You know, we're the B&B show.
Yeah.
We give things a B+ if we love it, a B- if we don't. It's so much fun. I can't deny it. I loved it. B+.
A B+ for me as well. Like I said, the overall plot, you're right, it's gibberish. But I mean, seeing these characters together, I mean, you can't help but have a good time watching this movie. So, yeah, those are our thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine.
If you liked what you just saw,
then check us out on YouTube at PGC TV Online. And we'll see you at the movies.